You know what's not terrible though? A closer look, because we had something we wanted to take a look at, and I thought it was kind of interesting because it kind of speaks to the market right now. We're not going to do this in the US though. We're going to go somewhere that actually has regulations. You know, the EU, because they are taking action against our friends over at Meta over concerns that they are restricting competition by blocking third-party AI assistants in WhatsApp. The European Commission says that Meta's recent policy changes may potentially violate EU antitrust rules, and they are considering interim measures to restore access for rival AI developers while their investigation continues. Now, look, people in the US, I know you don't know anything about this, but there is a program called WhatsApp that pretty much everybody not in the US uses to communicate with each other. And it's owned by Meta. And one of the things that Meta wants to do is put AI in everything because they can use that as a way to justify all this massive spend that they're doing. But one of the problems is that if Meta only wants to put their AI models in WhatsApp, and other companies are like, but we want to do that too. And if Meta restricts that, something monopoly, something antitrust. Again, a foreign concept to most people who live in the US. But I want to get the perspective of someone who doesn't live in the US. Al, do you think that the EU is onto something here by saying, no, if you want to put AI in these tools, you have to let everybody put AI in these tools?
Well, I think the key thing that's gone on here is that there has been a change in Meta's rules. So last October, 15th of October, Meta announced an update to their business solution terms. So not just the general Meta, but Meta Business Solutions terms. And it effectively means that the only AI assistant available in WhatsApp is Meta's Meta AI. And that's as of the 15th of January. So this has been in play for a couple of weeks now. Looking at the EU, the European Commission site, their objection is that this is a change to what you allowed to block competitors. It's not that there've never been competitors providing AI assistance in WhatsApp. You're now actively blocking those competitors. Well, that's very clearly an anti-competitive move. And I think it would be a very different status if there had never been any way to have a different AI assistant inside WhatsApp. And yes, for those of you who live in the US or live entirely in an Apple kind of space where you can use iMessage to message people over the internet, WhatsApp is that equivalent for people who don't use exclusively iPhones, who are using, in particular, I use WhatsApp a lot when I was traveling to the US with my, to the US and to Europe with my Android device. Because it was the easiest way to message anybody I knew without having to work out which country I was actually making the call from. I just needed an internet connection. WhatsApp absolutely is incredibly useful. And I'm kind of relieved that it's owned by Meta rather than some shady organization from some shady other country. However, this kind of behavior, yeah, it sits along with what we'd expect from Meta. They want us and everybody to be using their AI. They want all of our information to be feeding their AI as well. Because remember, if you're not paying to use the AI, well, you're paying with your data rather than your wallet. Um, Tom, have you used WhatsApp as you've traveled around the world? I know internally within the Tech Field Day team, we extensively use iMessage, so the utility for WhatsApp is a little lower. But I'm interested to see if you've used it a bit.
I have used it, on and off. My preference is not to use it. I prefer to use Signal for most everything because, again, it's not owned by a shady wannabe billionaire who created a website to rate how hot college students were that he then turned into a global ad empire that is creating filter bubbles that might be ruining society. But who am I to judge about that? I agree with you. Here's the problem in a nutshell. You can create a platform that people want to use. We've seen that happen so many times over the years. SAP, Salesforce, iMessage, Zoom, you name it. What you can't do is change the rules to lock everybody out because suddenly you want to harvest all of the data that's being sent in that platform for your own needs. Now, they had a little bit of a problem at the beginning because the biggest selling point for things not WhatsApp, namely iMessage and Signal, was that little thing called end-to-end encryption. We've had this debate many, many times. End-to-end encryption means that the provider in the middle cannot see any of your messaging information. It means that they can't do things like analyzing it for, um, you know, add functionality or, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like that idea. I don't like the idea of forcing me to use your AI model when I want to ask a question. Because when I ask that AI model that question, that means that you get to collect the data on the exchange between those two things. Yeah, like the rest of the people that Mark Zuckerberg is idolizing, like the Sam Altmans of the world that are doing that. Oh, hey, by the way, did you see that ChatGPT is now sending has ads for the free tier? Yeah, I wonder where those ads are gonna come from. They're probably gonna come from the things that you asked ChatGPT about, and that's the value, is you remember in the old days with Facebook, the breakthrough in advertising was, "I'll just serve you ads based on things you hit the like button on," right? Because I can request a whole bunch of information there. But even that's not enough now because people use likes like currency. Like this post, and you'll get a free this or that. They're using it to drive engagement. So people might actually like that thing. They may just be using it as a way to gain free things or follow a post or something like that. But if I'm specifically asking a platform for a thing, that is kind of a direct intention, right? Like we've all seen it. If we start Google searching for cars of a specific kind, suddenly all of our ads turn into those cars. But if I were to log into an AI platform and ask it, which is better, this four-cylinder engine or the six-cylinder engine, then the system knows, oh, he's probably shopping for a car. Which cars have those engines? I'm going to serve him ads from those locations. Again, this is how they're going to pay for it. The trick is that if you want to not fall on the wrong side of regulation, you have to allow me to use whatever I want. And nobody is immune from this. Apple's had this problem for a while. We've had ChatGPT integration for an entire version of iOS. We're reportedly going to get integrations with Google Gemini very soon. But you cannot lock people out exclusively because that's what everybody wants to do. The problem with all of this, if I could stand even higher on my soapbox for just a minute, is not that these tech billionaire bros want to make AI invade our lives. It's that they want their AI to invade our lives exclusively. Elon wants you to use XAI and Grok. Zuck wants you to use whatever Meta's using, Llama or something. Altman really wants you to use OpenAI for everything because that is the value. That is their competitive advantage, that they have the data that nobody else does and they can't get it out anywhere. But if it's very easy for me to go up to the radio button and say, I want to switch from using ChatGPT to Gemini, then they're locked out and they're trying to make their platform sticky. And I hate to say it, because again, this is a little bit of the political step on the soapbox. It appears that the people in the places where these things are being built don't seem to care. And so we once again rely on the EU, who actually seem to give a damn about regulations and fairness, to say, nope, that's not going to fly. And they're going to institute these things. And by the way, the reason why the EU doing it, why it feels like it means more, is because they don't just fine you a few $1,000,000 as a way to say, look, we are going to slap you on the wrists. They're fining them a percentage of their annual revenue. They really make it hurt, which means people really don't want to do that. And one of the things that we're starting to find out is it turns out that EU regulations actually have a lot to do with making things better. If you don't believe me, think about GDPR and look at CCPA, which was instituted in California, which is very much closely related to GDPR. Our lives are probably better because of that. And yeah, I know clicking on the allow all cookies pop up every time you go to a website feels kind of stupid, but would you rather be clicking on it and knowing that there are cookies, or would you rather be blissfully ignorant of what's going on?
Give me blissful ignorance, man. Just protect me without me ever having to think about it. And that's one of the things that the EU does seem to like to do is to provide common sense protection for everybody as a sort of fundamental right. I like it.